state-licensed marijuana businesses. Gardner accused Sessions of being dishonest with him during the confirmation process, and made plans to reverse the memorandum. Gardner said he spoke with President Trump late Wednesday. The president assured him there will be no impact on Colorado's state-run marijuana industry, and Gardner agreed to release all remaining holds on judicial nominees. Colorado was one of the first states to vote to legalize recreational marijuana use in 2012. The industry brought in nearly $250 million in 2017. Susan Davis, NPR News, Washington.
Even with strong earnings from some big banks, financial firms fell after the final hour of trading today. The Dow was down 122 points. The Nasdaq closed down 33 points. This is NPR.
And you're listening to WNYC in New York. I'm Jamie Floyd. Mayor de Blasio is taking a first step to overhaul the city's tangled property tax system, an effort he promised during his re-election campaign. Today on the Brian Lehrer Show, the mayor said he'll appoint a commission this month to undertake an analysis,
which will then lead to some city council legislation, which hopefully we can act on, this year or early next, and then state legislation, which would require going to Albany during the legislative session next year.
New York City is currently facing a lawsuit that argues homeowners in predominantly minority areas are unfairly taxed. During last fall's mayoral campaign, de Blasio's Republican rival pointed out that he paid lower taxes on his Park Slope row house than she did on her Staten Island home, even though it was worth far less. Body-worn cameras are revolutionizing the way police misconduct is investigated in New York City. Patrol officers started to get cameras last April, and since then, the Civilian Complaint Review Board has footage to investigate 165 cases of police misbehavior. Here's Executive Director Jonathan Darsh.
Body-worn camera footage is of a higher quality in many cases than your average run-of-the-mill surveillance video or cell phone video, especially considering that they get us all.
Nearly 1,500 police officers in 21 precincts have been equipped with body cameras, and about 10,000 officers across the city are expected to have them by the end of the year. And a new measure aimed at protecting union membership in New York State is now law. It says labor unions that represent government workers cannot be forced to provide full membership benefits and not pay for them via union dues. The measure is a safeguard in the case the U.S. Supreme Court rules against organized labor, in case the U.S. Supreme Court rules against organized labor in a pending case over employee access to union benefits. Currently 81 degrees at 506.
Support for NPR comes from Lockers, designed to connect people from anywhere in the world on any device. Learn more at gotomeeting.com.
It's All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Audie Cornish.
And I'm Mary Louise Kelly. Fired FBI Director James Comey has a new book coming out. It's a memoir, and it takes direct aim at the character and leadership of his former boss, the president and the White House. Back from Press Secretary Sarah Sanders at today's White House briefing.
The FBI should be independent and not led by a political hack. Comey's higher loyalty is pretty clear that it's only to himself.
All right, NPR Justice Correspondent Carrie Johnson is here. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Mary Louise.
I know you've got your hot little hands all over this book, so I'm going to put to you the question I've been putting to everyone. What's the headline? What's new here?
Well, for me, it was the notion that James Comey, along with other intelligence community officials, went to Trump Tower in January 2017 before the inauguration, briefed President Trump and his incoming President Trump team on the details behind the Russian interference in the election, really secret sources and methods. Comey says the reaction from Trump and the team was focused on PR and spin, how to position these findings for maximum political advantage, on the ongoing threat from Russia and what could be done about it. Remember, since that time, there's been a lot of criticism of President Trump, who's lashed out at the FBI, the Justice Department, and a lot of other people, but not Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Leaders in the intelligence community say the U.S. hasn't done enough. Members of Congress say the same thing. And in a few months, we're going to have bipartisan midterm elections coming up.
We sure are. Now, speaking of White House reaction to all this, in a tweet this morning, President Trump called Comey, and I quote, an untruthful slime ball. He also said Comey's mishandling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation was, quote, one of the great botch jobs of which gives you and me, Carrie, the opportunity. Here we sit in April 2018 to talk yet again about Hillary Clinton's emails. How does Comey address the subject in his book?
Well, Comey said he assumed Hillary Clinton was going to win that election, and he says maybe media polls signaling that Clinton was likely to win did play a part in his decision to talk about reopening the email investigation in October 2016, shortly before the election. He says maybe if the election seemed closer to him, maybe he would have kept playing. There's another thing, too. Remember that news conference Comey did in July 2016 where he talked about all the things Hillary Clinton did wrong, called her use of a private email server extremely careless. Ultimately, he said she would not be charged with a crime. In retrospect, Comey says he would have said that first so as not to confuse people. In fact, Comey says his wife and his family said that he was Seacresting, acting like Ryan Seacrest, when he was hosting American Idol, teasing people to keep watching after the commercial. Comey says he's Clinton and her supporters are unhappy about how he handled all of this, but he concludes ultimately he did the right thing by talking.
Now, what about Russia? Will the new Comey book give new ammunition either to Robert Mueller's investigation or to those who would like to see that investigation shut down?
Well, it's not clear Comey is a in this investigation. Generally speaking, prosecutors and FBI agents like to keep a tight leash on people like that because there's a risk of them making inconsistent statements or blurting out something that could hurt the case if there is one. That's why it's striking to some people inside the Justice Department and out that Comey, former FBI director, is going on a media campaign now for his book while the Russia investigation is continuing.
Let me ask you about another name I did not expect to be talking about in April 2018, Scooter Libby, who, of course, is the former aide to former Vice President Dick Cheney, who was convicted for lying to another special counsel back in the George W. Bush era. President Trump has pardoned him? What's going on there?
Yeah, at first blush, this seems unrelated to the Comey book news, but actually there is a connection. Comey was the second in command at the Justice Department in the George W. Bush administration. He appointed his friend Pat Fitzgerald to be the special counsel to lead that investigation. Ultimately, Scooter Libby was convicted for lying and obstructing justice for talking with reporters about the identity of a CIA operative and then lying about that later. Kellyanne Conway, a top White House aide in the Trump administration, told reporters today that many people think Scooter Libby was the victim of a special counsel gone amok. That obviously has some resonance since President Trump calls Robert Mueller the crucial counsel. Some news on a witch hunt.
Real quick, while we've got you, Carrie, new details coming in on another topic today, the investigation into President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen.
Prosecutors in New York say Michael Cohen has been under investigation for many months related to his personal business and his work as a lawyer. The government says it's been secretly monitoring several of his email accounts independent of the special counsel's worship.
Thanks, Carrie.
You're welcome.
And here, Justice Correspondent Carrie.
Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Michael Flynn, Jeff Sessions. You already know the names of the key figures in James Comey's book. But maybe not this name. Reinhold Niebuhr. Reinhold Niebuhr, a man who's been dead since 1971.
Niebuhr was a liberal Protestant theologian, the most prominent of his time.
If religion is good, why should our society be based upon a separation between the church and the state?
That's Niebuhr himself speaking with journalist Mike Wallace in 1950.
Niebuhr was a leading voice for many on the religious left.
And he has a big admirer in James Comey, whose new book opens with one of his quotes.
Man's capacity for justice makes democracy possible, but man's inclination to injustice makes democracy necessary.
Niebuhr's writings pushed Protestant Christians to work towards social justice. Here's his daughter, Elizabeth Sifton, on Fresh Air in 2005.
He wrote somewhere that rich princes always imagine that they are wise. They imagine that they think they're wise because they're powerful and at the top of the heap, and it never occurs to them that they're only there because they have all the money, not because they are wiser than everyone else. So he inveighed constantly against the powers that be that he felt were unjust and indifferent to suffering.
Niebuhr was the subject of James Comey's undergraduate thesis.
And Reinhold Niebuhr was also Comey's Twitter nom de plume for a while.
Comey's book explains how he first discovered the theologian. They had a colleague read from that section.
One day, I was headed to a chem lab and noticed the word death on the bulletin board. I stopped.
It was an advertisement for a class in the religion department. I took the course, and everything changed.
Perhaps the best known piece of Niebuhr's writing is this, a prayer he wrote in 1943. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. A bit of writing recognized today as the Serenity Prayer. Inspectors will be on the ground tomorrow in the Syrian town of Douma. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is going in to investigate the killing of dozens of civilians in the April 7th attack. Their investigation is likely to inform how the U.S. and its allies respond to suspected use of chemical weapons. Earlier today, we reached Angela Kane. She's the former UN High Representative for Disarmament Affairs. She oversaw the investigation of the 2013 sarin gas attack in Ghouta, the one that killed more than 1,000 people. She told us what inspectors will be looking for this time around.
They will be taking samples from the victims, they will be taking urine samples, blood samples, any other samples, environmental samples that they could possibly get, and they will guard these and they will never leave their possessions. And they will take these samples out with them for analysis at the various OPCW-related laboratories in Europe.
Now, how do you go about determining what kind of chemical has been used?
Well, as you know, when we went in 2013, which was the first investigation that was done, we actually determined that this was sarin. And that was determined on the basis of the samples that we took out, meaning the environmental samples, but also we had a lot of samples taken from people who were actually affected by the sarin. That was possible because only a few days, I think it was 2 or 3 days, had passed since the sarin was released. Now, the longer you wait with taking the samples, the more the chance is that these samples will be evaporated or that the chemical is not so strong anymore.
You're describing both time and access as being critical to this process. What are the challenges then in essentially a war zone?
Well, the challenges are always there. When we went into 2013, the difficulty was that the territory in eastern Ghouta was in rebel hands. So the government said they could not be responsible for our safety. And if you remember that our convoy was shot at the very first time, and the first vehicle, which was an armored vehicle, was totally compromised. Now, I understand in Douma right now, the government took over the area. They actually sent buses in there, I mean, to the extent of like 80 or 90 buses to take out the fighters, and that may also include some of the victims, of course, who were affected by that attack. But on the other hand, that means that the government is responsible for the security of the fact-finding mission of the experts that are going in to do the analysis.
So we don't know, there could be more challenges ahead.
There could be more challenges ahead, but I think it's a positive signal that hopefully this will bring some clarity to the situation. A, that you have a chain of custody that can be trusted, because the previous investigations were attacked, as you know, for example, by the Russian Federation and the Security Council, because they said this is all second-hand information, so we cannot really be sure that this is the correct assessment of what actually happened on the ground.
But at the end of the day, do you worry about proliferation? Do you worry that the signal sent out by Syria in using chemical weapons sends a signal to other countries that, like, hey, there's no real consequence here?
I don't think that I worry about proliferation. Proliferation is always a possibility, but what I worry about is really that the norm against using chemical weapons has been undermined now for several years, and that I find extremely sad. Everyone remembers still the First World War, other weapons that were used in terms of chemicals in the Second World War, even pesticides in Vietnam, for example, that is also a chemical agent. But now what we have seen is that it seems to become a weekly occurrence that chemical weapons or materials like chemicals are used as weapons against populations, against civilians, and that I find extremely of concern and extremely sad also.
Angela Kane, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you, Audie. Bye-bye.
She's the former UN High Representative for Disarmament Affairs. You're listening to All Things Considered on WNYC. Bill Cosby is being tried again for allegedly drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand back in 2004. Today, Constand, who is the main accuser, took the stand, and we'll have a report about her testimony just ahead. Stay tuned.
Support for WNYC comes from Children of a Lesser God, a Broadway play about an unconventional teacher at a school for the deaf and the remarkable woman he meets there, starring Joshua Jackson, Lauren Ridloff, and Anthony Edwards. Now on Broadway. More at childrenofalessergodbroadway.com.
When Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook appeared in front of Congress this week, he sat on a special cushion to make himself seem taller. He was reduced to that after security agents nixed his first idea, sitting on a pile of his money. I'm Peter Sagal. We'll share what we know about the hearing that you haven't already heard on Facebook. Plus, actor Laurie Metcalf joins us to gracefully dodge questions about her co-star Roseanne Barr. Join us for the News Quiz from NPR. Tomorrow morning at 11 on 93.9 FM WNYC.
We lose something so central that our very sense of self, and then we have to resort to extremes. So tonight, on a special presentation of Invisibilia, hear from a 74-year-old woman whose husband's death leads her to skydiving, and a beekeeper who thinks his hives have been stolen by mobsters. It's Invisibilia, and it starts tonight at 9 on 93.9 FM WNYC. And tonight will be clear, and we'll have lows down in the 60s. Looking ahead to the weekend, a mixed bag. Sunny tomorrow, slight chance of afternoon showers, but otherwise pretty nice, a lot like today. Sunny and highs in the upper 70s. Rainy and cooler on Sunday with highs only in the upper 40s. We may hit the 50-degree mark on Sunday. Again, tonight it will be clear with lows in the 60s. And it's still beautiful out there this afternoon. It's 81 degrees and sunny in Central Park at 5:20.
Support for NPR comes from WNYC members and from Bleecker Street, presenting the new thriller Beirut from the writer of the Bourne trilogy, starring John Hamm and Rosamund Pike. Beirut, now playing in theaters. And Zoom. Zoom offers cloud video conferencing, online meetings, and a video conference room solution in one platform, featuring digital video and audio with screen sharing, account registration, and more at zoom.us.
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Audie Cornish.
And I'm Mary Louise Kelly. Bill Cosby was back in court this week. He is being tried again for allegedly drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand in 2004. The first trial last year ended in a deadlocked jury. 6 of Cosby's accusers testified against him this week, including Constand. Laura Binshoff from member station WHYY is at the courthouse outside Philadelphia, and she joins us now. Hey, Laura.
Hi, Mary Louise.
So Andrea Constand took the stand today, and I want you to walk us through her testimony. But before you do, let me give this warning to our listeners. This is going to be a description of an alleged sexual assault.
Exploited, and my daughter is one of those.
Raniere was arrested in Mexico and brought back to face charges of sex trafficking, conspiracy, and forced labor. At Brooklyn Federal Court, Mike Sugarman, WCBS News Radio 880.
New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez may have broken the state's gun laws when he held up a rifle briefly during a press conference. That claim coming from Steve Lonegan, a Republican who's running as a congressional candidate in New Jersey. Lonegan says Menendez does not have a permit to carry the rifle, and that the senator is not above the law. The rifle was used as a prop by Menendez during a press conference about creating stronger gun laws. It is unlikely Menendez would actually face charges, though.
As part of a multi-pronged approach to reduce gun violence in New York, a gun buyback program was held today in White Plains.
As you can see here, we have an assault weapon or two.
A wide range of guns is being displayed on tables on either side of Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. More than 100 guns were turned in here in White Plains. Over the past 5 years, the AG has collected 1,500 firearms.
That means 1,500 guns that won't pose a grave risk to curious children or to police officers.
Schneiderman believes people have been mobilizing since the Parkland, Florida shooting.
Guns is now right up there in the forefront of issues that people care about.
Debit cards worth up to $150 were given to those who surrendered guns. In White Plains, Peter Haskell, WCBS News Radio 880.
WCBS News Time, 5:23.
Ever wasted time, money, and way too much energy trying to find a parking spot? Lucky for you, there's Spot Hero. Spot Hero lets you reserve a great parking spot and...
In his premises, President Trump sent another lawyer to the proceeding to protect his interests.
And the attorney representing porn star Stormy Daniels can understand why.
Michael Cohen was his longtime attorney and effectively probably knows where all the bodies are buried, as they say. And I think that in the event that Michael Cohen is ultimately charged, that could pose significant and very, very serious problems for the President of the United States.
Lawyer Michael Avenatti says no doubt records pertaining to his client's non-disclosure agreement were among the items listed in the warrant. Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins News.
Meantime, back at the White House, it's liar, leaker. That's what they're saying about former FBI Director James Comey in the hallways after excerpts of Comey's upcoming book went public. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says Comey is tarnishing his own reputation.
Instead of being remembered as a dedicated servant in the pursuit of justice, like so many of his other colleagues, that Comey will be forever known as a disgraced partisan hack that broke the United States, the dedicated agents of the FBI, and the American people he vowed to faithfully serve.
Comey hasn't said a word in response to all that. He's saving it for this weekend. That's when he sits down in that exclusive with ABC to talk about his brushes with the president and his upcoming book, with follow-up appearances on several other national TV. Outgoing House Speaker Paul Ryan is endorsing his number 2 man, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, as his successor. Ryan will be a guest on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, but we've gotten our hands on a preview.
I think we all believe that Kevin is the right person when it's all, we all think that Kevin is the right person. Our leadership team, I'm saying. I'm not saying every single person in Congress.
McCarthy expected to face a challenge from Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. There's something strange going on at the firehouse on Merrick Road in Massapequa, Long Island. That's our comps aren't saying exactly what, except to confirm there was a suspicious and/or unusual incident there late Monday night. The chief of the firehouse isn't talking either, except to tell Newsday his department is cooperating fully with investigators. Stay tuned. Wednesday News Time, 5:25.
This morning, the phone rings. It's your personal concierge touching base. Nice way to start the day. Patricia McCann. Custom Care Concierge gets that life is fast, sometimes overwhelming, never enough time. You want to take the family on a luxury safari? Consider it done. Your personal papers, charitable giving need organizing? Done. Custom Care Concierge, efficient, dedicated. You look forward to that morning call. Visit CustomCareConcierge.com or call 833-227-3400, 833-227-3400.
The Pope's Choir is coming to America. The Sistine Chapel Choir. The first ever U.S. national tour. Saturday, July 7th, Radio City Music Hall. An incredibly moving music and spiritual experience you will remember forever. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. The Sistine Chapel Choir comes to New York.
Wednesday News Time, 5:26, and now Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins. Here's Larry Komsky.
Wall Street closed out the week on a sour note. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slid 122. The S&P 500 dropped 7. The Nasdaq Composite fell 33. Americans are worried about a possible trade war. The University of Michigan's latest consumer sentiment reading fell more than expected. Nearly a third of the people surveyed made spontaneous references to U.S. trade policy, nearly all of them negative. Bertucci's appears headed for bankruptcy. People familiar with the matter say the Italian restaurant chain is lining up a buyer for the business and could file as soon as next week. Bertucci's has about 80 locations in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. A leaked Apple memo warns employees to stop leaking. The memo posted to Apple's internal blog warns employees to remain tight-lipped about future product plans and raise the specter of potential legal action and criminal charges if they don't. Bloomberg Money Watch at 26 and 56, past every hour. I'm Larry Kosky for 1010
Wednesday News Time, 5:27.
What should I do for vacation?
Searching. Norwegian Cruise Line has ships sailing all over the world.
Any cruises from here in New York or Miami?
Searching. Yes, they have ships sailing year-round from New York City and Miami to the Caribbean or Bermuda.
Oh, and they've got that free and sea promotion, so I could choose up to 5 free offers. Should I choose free and limited open bar?
Yes.
Or do I like
specialty dining.
Do fish like water?
Oh, but I could choose free shore excursions.
My camera would like that.
Or free Wi-Fi.
We both know you like that.
Or bring friends and family for free.
Why don't you book a suite or the Haven and get all 5?
You're a genius.
Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free. Book now and get 1, 2, or all 5 offers for free, up to $2,600 in value. Visit ncl.com. Call your travel professional. Including NCL Cruise. Ships registry, Bahamas, and USA. Restrictions apply.
When selecting windows and doors, you never want to compromise. We understand that. At your local Windorama, serving Long Island, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Craftsmanship, pride, with no room for compromise. It's what you do. It's what we do. On your next remodeling or replacement job, whether you choose Marvin Windows and Doors or Integrity from Marvin, which revolutionized the industry with Ultrex fiberglass, rest assured, there's no compromising anywhere. With Marvin's choice of colors, hardware, and design options, you can be confident that you'll satisfy your most demanding customer. So for your next window replacement project, partner with your independent Marvin dealer, Windorama. Whether you choose Marvin Windows and Doors or Integrity from Marvin, you can count on us being there. Visit us at Windorama.com. Nice weekend, but get out the tissues, folks. Now the Allergy Alert Forecast, sponsored by ENT and Allergy Associates. Book online anytime or call them today. You'll see them today. Tomorrow's outlook, very high, with maple, juniper, and poplar, the predominant pollen. As for the weather, AccuWeather says patchy clouds and mild tonight with a low of 62 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, very warm with a high of 80 in Midtown. Areas near the coast will again be in the cooler 60s, and then temperatures begin to drop quickly. We're talking late tomorrow afternoon, talking down into the 40s here, and then Sunday, much of the same, a high of only 45 degrees. Good afternoon. I'm Larry Mullins. When's news time? At the tone, 5:30.
Afternoon, I'm Mitch Levy. The New Jersey resident who won the huge Mega Millions jackpot in late March has now come forward. Correspondent Dave Packer has the details.
Will you stay at your job if you won a $533 million Mega Millions jackpot? Neither would Richard Wall.
I won't be staying there working. I'm going to take this time to spend time with my family.
But unlike you, he did win. The 47-year-old production manager at Food Service now coming forward after a couple of weeks and saying his winning was meant to be.
We believe God has a plan. So for us, the plan is to do a lot of good things with it.
Now, the IRS has plans too, so Wall's going to have to pay $149 million in taxes. Taking the cash option, Wall will pocket about $175 million.
The jackpot was the largest in New Jersey history. The winning ticket was bought at a Luke Oil gas station in Riverdale. Wins News Time, 5:31.
All news, all the time. This is
That's time for traffic and transit on the ones from the Ram Trucks Traffic Center. Expanded traffic and transit for your evening commute. And here's Greg Rice.
Here's the LIRR. We do have that signal problem near Woodside. We are seeing delays on the Babylon, the Port Jefferson, the Hempstead branches. Doesn't look like they've canceled anything else in the last few minutes, but we do have the scattered delays of at least 10 minutes. They're slow to get trains through Woodside as they go to work on that problem. The news is better on New Jersey Transit. Morrison Essex has resumed, but you've got up to 2 hours worth of delays because of an earlier fire between Summit and Short Hills. But again, trains are running. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The inbound side of the George, a better ride now to the upper and lower. That is actually thinned out nicely, but the outbound George, there is no good way to do it. Lincoln Tunnel's about an hour in, at least an hour out. I don't see anybody moving right now on the outbound Helix because of a wreck on 495 westbound near Kennedy Boulevard. Holland 30 in, 45 to 60 minutes out. Outbound Brooklyn Bridge right at the foot of the span in Manhattan. They are still working on this stalled cab. They've been with it for the last hour. You've got to crawl getting there on the FDR. You'd rather be on the outbound upper level of the Manhattan Bridge. Midtown Tunnel, bad both ways, so is the Whitestone Bridge. Queensbound Whitestone's going to stay bad in advance of that Met game, which starts in a little over 90 minutes. And here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. Southern State eastbound slow from Malvern all the way to 110. Long Island Expressway bad both ways in Nassau, so is the Northern State Parkway, and the eastbound side stays bad all the way to 106.7. I'm Greg Rice on 1010 Wins.
Wins News Time, 5:32. And now your official 1010 Wins AccuWeather 4-day forecast, sponsored by KiaOffers.com. Meteorologist Dave Bowers with this live report.
Well, it has certainly been a gorgeous day. Temperatures 20 degrees above normal, and we're going to do it again tomorrow before it all comes to an end.
We'll have temperatures in the low 60s and upper 50s to start the day tomorrow and soar to 80 in the afternoon. Right ahead of a cold front. It's mostly sunny. That front actually slipping through during the mid to late afternoon hours, and there'll be a rather sharp temperature drop once that happens. We plunge down to low 40s tomorrow night, also clouding up and even some drizzle breaking out. And then on Sunday, quite the opposite kind of day. It's going to be overcast, damp, and cold, with off and on rain and drizzle and a high of 45 degrees. Now Monday, it's milder, but it's wet. As a matter of fact, the rain can be heavy at times during the morning hours and even a thunderstorm, diminishing to just a shower in the afternoon. 82 degrees and sunshine in Central Park, going down to 62 in Midtown. I'm meteorologist Dave Bowers on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds.
All right, Dave, you never know what to wear when you get up in the morning. Right now, 84 degrees in Secaucus, 66 in Freeport. It's 82 at the Acme in Fort Lee. Sponsored by Acme. Play Monopoly Collect and Win game at Acme. See game rules at shopplaywin.com. Will Farrell is out of the hospital after being injured in a California auto wreck. That story next on 1010 Wins. Wins News Time, 5:34. When you need legal papers served anytime, any day, visit UndisputedLegal.com. Family, civil, supreme, surrogates, and more. Undisputed Legal has licensed process servers you can trust. Need help evicting bad tenants? Undisputed Legal has full-service eviction solutions for New York landlords. They find people anywhere. Background checks, skip trace. Real investigators get real results. UndisputedLegal.com. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, with offices in New York, Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, Westchester, and Connecticut. UndisputedLegal.com.
Ever wasted time, money, and way too much energy trying to find a parking spot? Lucky for you, there's Spot Hero. Spot Hero lets you reserve a great parking spot and save money wherever you go, from the work week to the weekend. Just search for a spot, pay to reserve, and go. With the Spot Hero app, parking is as easy as a few taps on your phone, so it can fit your busy schedule, not the other way around. Plus, take $10 off your first spot with promo code 1010. That's promo code 1010. Spot Hero. Park smarter.
Wins News Time, 5:35. Actor and comedian Will Ferrell was hurt in a bad car crash last night in Southern California.
Ferrell suffered minor injuries and was released from the hospital. The accident occurred just before 11 o'clock last night as he was returning to LA from San Diego, where he appeared at Funny or Die event as Ron Burgundy from the film Anchorman. His chauffeur-driven SUV was sideswiped by another car and the SUV flipped over. Two other people in the SUV, the driver and a woman, were also taken to the hospital. The driver with minor injuries. The woman riding in the Lincoln says the CHP suffered a major injury, but the tales of her injury are unknown. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
A controversial move out of the White House today. Correspondent Karen Travers has the details.
President Trump has issued a full pardon to Scooter Libby, the former chief of staff to Vice President Cheney, in the investigation into the leak of the identity of a former covert CIA operative. In a statement, the president says that while he doesn't know Libby, for years he heard he has been, quote, treated unfairly, and he hopes this pardon will, quote, help rectify a very sad portion of his life.
President Bush, 43, had commuted Libby's 30-month prison sentence, but did not issue a pardon. We'll check entertainment news next. Wins News Time, 5:37.
In a future where entertainment is chaos, one device will rise to take back control. Altice One from Optimum has arrived. With live TV, ultra-fast internet, built-in whole-home Wi-Fi, plus cloud DVR, Showtime, Stars, and Stars Encore, all for 1 year. The power is in your hands. Call 877-6-OPTIMUM or visit experiencetheone.com to switch now for only $79.99 a month for 2 years guaranteed and no annual contract. The best streaming apps like Netflix and YouTube together with 1 year of cloud DVR, Showtime, Stars, and Stars Encore with special features like a voice-activated remote and instant restart function. Stuck in a contract? We'll give you up to $500 to get out of it. Love it or return it risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just $79.99 a month for 2 years when you call 877-6-OPTIMUM now. All you need is one. Altice One from Optimum. Offer for new residential customers. Taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. See Optimum.com for details.
82 degrees now in Midtown, going down to 62 overnight. The AccuWeather real feel is 73, though. In New York, it's fair. The humidity, 22%. Winds out to the southwest at 6, gusting to 17. Again, Midtown temperature now, 82 degrees. Winds News Time, 5:38. Now 1010 Wins Entertainment. NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, former Yankee star Johnny Damon, and former Olympian Adam Rippon are among the athletes who will be competing in the upcoming season of Dancing with the Stars. Rippon was a guest today on Good Morning America and insisted that being an accomplished figure skater won't mean much for him on the dance floor.
I think, yes, we perform. I got biscuits attached to my ankles. I'm walking around soft, flop, cha-cha-cha. Yeah, it's a mess down there. You don't even want to see it.
Other athletes who will be competing for the Mirror Ball include disgraced former Olympic figure skater Tonya Harding and former softball star Jeannie Finch. Season 26 of Dancing with the Stars kicks off on April 30th. Huey Lewis and the News have canceled their remaining tour dates because of Lewis's hearing loss. Lewis says he first noticed his hearing was gone before a show in Dallas a few months ago. Wins News Time, 5:39.
As soon as we're back out in our yard,
yep, we get company.
Dandelions, flirting crabgrass, and wheat-thin grass. But the all-new Scott's Turf Builder Triple Action takes care of them all. Now, with one bag, you can kill weeds, prevent crabgrass for up to 4 months, and feed for greener grass. Triple Action, so your lawn thrives, guaranteed. Only from Scott's.
Weeds aren't welcome here.
This is a Scott's Yard. Pick up a bag of Scott's Triple Action today.
Great offers are blooming in Aaron. This weekend only, just 1 penny gets you started. Yes, you heard right. Walk in with a penny and walk out leasing to own the furniture, electronics, and appliances that you've always wanted. Plus, you don't need credit, and delivery and setup are free. From April 13th to the 15th, come into a participant or visit Aaron's.com and get started with only 1 penny at Aaron's. Transaction advertised is a rental purchase agreement. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Thank you for making 1010 Wins your #1 choice for news in New York.
All new. This is 1010 Wins. We'll give you the word.
It's 82 degrees at 5:40 on this Friday, April 13th. I'm Mitch Levy, and here's what's happening. President Trump checked in on his embattled personal lawyer in a phone call this afternoon as both men tried to keep the Justice Department from reading papers seized in a raid this week. A thief covered a security camera in a Brooklyn storage facility, but not before the camera captured his image. A New Jersey doctor is suspended after he allegedly overprescribed opioids. Controversy on The Simpsons over one of the show's most familiar and oldest characters. The 1010 Wins AccuWeather forecast, patchy clouds and mild tonight, going down to 60. Mostly sunny, very warm tomorrow. The high again around 80 in Midtown, cooler at the shore.
This is John Minko. The Mets deal with the news that catcher Kevin Plawecki has a broken hand. Mets home to Milwaukee, Yanks in Detroit, and Dennis Bryant is now an ex-Cowboy.
Hi, I'm Rob Walsh. An abandoned Queens rail line is applying for a Highline makeover on the bottom line for small business.
It's News Time, 5:41. Time for traffic returns on the ones with that now. Here's Greg Rice.
We go to the Queens Midtown Tunnel. We're getting word that only one lane gets by in the outbound tube, and it is leading to big-time backups on the east side of Manhattan. That's on top of the parking lot that is the FDR Drive from right around 14th Street all the way to the GWB. So you're really running out of options. Williamsburg, maybe not the outbound Brooklyn Bridge. Outbound Brooklyn Bridge, as I see it on the Jan Cam, we still have the left lane knocked out with a stall right at the foot of the span on the Manhattan side. The rest of your bridges and tunnels inbound George, we've got a good ride to the upper and lower. There's no good option on the outbound side. Lincoln Tunnel, it's about an hour in. It's well over an hour on the outbound side as we deal with a wreck on outbound 495 near Kennedy Boulevard, knocking out 2 lanes. Holland, we're looking at 20 to 30 minutes in, at least 45 minutes at the outbound side of the Holland Tunnel. Still a whole lot of eastbound delays on the LIRR, mainly the Hempstead, Port Washington, and Babylon branches because of a signal problem. Over near Woodside, 2-hour delays on the Morrison Essex line on New Jersey Transit. Eastbound belt brake lights, Verrazano to Pennsylvania Avenue. Westbound loaded to Knaptree because of a broken down school bus knocking out the right lane. Word of a wreck on the westbound L line near the Grand Central. Eastbound slow from right out of the Midtown Tunnel all the way into Nassau County. I'm Greg Rice. Our next report at 5:51 on 1010 Wins.
It's News Time, 5:42. President Trump took to the telephone today to call his longtime lawyer and confidant Michael Cohen to, as the New York Times puts it, check in. The phone call came as lawyers for both men went to court in Manhattan to try to block the Justice Department from reading the documents that were seized in a raid on Cohen's home and his office this week. 1010 Wins reporter Julia Papa attended the court session.
Michael Cohen had his own set of lawyers in court trying to block access to records seized from his apartment, hotel room, and office, claiming attorney-client privilege. He's been Donald Trump's attorney for years and claims he personally paid off porn star Stormy Daniels, who said she had a one-night stand with Trump during the campaign. Her lawyer, Michael Avenatti, also came to court.
In the event that Michael Cohen is ultimately charged, that could pose significant and very, very serious problems for the President of the United States.
He's here because he believes material related to Daniels was seized in the search warrant. Julia Papa, 1010 Wins News.
The White House is hitting hard at former FBI Director James Comey after excerpts of his upcoming book were made public. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said no one should take this book seriously.
This is nothing more than a poorly executed PR stunt by Comey to desperately rehabilitate his tattered reputation and enrich his own bank account by peddling a book that belongs in the bargain bin of the fixin' section.
President Trump himself was even tougher on Comey. In a tweet this morning, Mr. Trump said Comey is a proven leaker and liar, and going so far as to call him an untruthful slimeball.
It's Tucker Carlson at Fox News. Ignore the headlines and the dumb pundits. The biggest threat to America is not Russia. Obviously, it's China. They've got 4 times our population. Their military is building up rapidly. They spy on us more than anybody else by far. Our leaders don't care, maybe because they are making money. Money to public Chinese propaganda in the Washington Post. Maybe that's what deserves a special investigator. Glenn Tifford of the Hoover Institution joins us tonight on the show that's the sworn enemy of lying, bossy smugness, and especially groupthink. Hey, Jimmy Turk, only Fox.
For all the times you wake up early and stay up late. For working extra shifts and double shifts. For being there when we need you, day or night. Never think no one sees you, because we do.
Made for those who work hard for 125 years. Maxwell House, good to the last drop.
Find Maxwell House at a Stop and Shop near you today.
Wins News Time 545, 1010 Wins Sports, and here's John Minko.
So baseball, the 10-1 Mets open a weekend series with the Brewers United City Field. Stephen Matz against Zach Davies. The Mets have won 8 straight as we checked with general manager Sandy Alderson.
Well, it's obviously been fun to watch, and that's mainly what I've done is just watch. Been very happy with the manager and the coaching staff, the way they've handled the team overall, but also in-game decision making.
Injuries have been a problem, especially at the catching position. Kevin Plawecki, a broken left hand, as he follows Travis d'Arnaud to the DL. Plawecki was hit by a pitch Wednesday night in Miami, a hairline fracture, expected to be out 3 to 4 weeks. d'Arnaud will undergo Tommy John surgery next week. Jose Lobaton is up from AAA, and right now he's the catcher in the lineup tonight. Brandon Nimmo recalled from Vegas as well. Yankees and Tigers tonight in Detroit. Tigers having problems scoring. Just 6 runs total in their last 5 games. They were swept by the Indians. Jordan Montgomery makes the Yankees start tonight. Dallas Cowboys releasing Des Bryant, deciding salary cap relief was the way to go, was to make $16.5 million this year. His production has been down, so he is available. And the Charlotte Hornets fired head coach Steve Clifford today. Sports at 15:45 around the clock. John Minko, 1010 Wins Sports.
And the sports is sponsored by ENT and Allergy Associates in affiliation with Mount Sinai.
To make sure that ENT and Allergy at Mount Sinai could best connect community and academic medicine,
Dr. Alyssa Hackett, otolaryngologist, Mount Sinai Hospital, and deliver the fastest and most comprehensive treatment of diseases of the head and neck, Dr. David Bowe, otolaryngologist, ENT and Allergy Associates.
we needed to make sure we were totally in sync.
So we aligned our electronic health record systems to transfer patient information instantly.
And we constantly meet to share expertise in the latest clinical developments.
As a result, each time a patient is directed from ENT and Allergy to Mount Sinai,
And there have been more than 10,000 patients since we began.
they receive the precise, personalized care they need
From the surgeon who can best deliver it.
in as little as 24 to 48 hours from doctor's visit to hospital visit. For your same-day appointment at ENT and Allergy, call 1-855-ENTA-DOC or book online anytime.
Make sure you have the full team
on your side.
Wins News Time 547. And And right now it's 82 degrees. What an afternoon today, huh? Going down low to 62 tonight. Another beauty tomorrow, and then back to the deep freeze for the weekend.
It's your last chance to see the new comedy Amy and the Orphan. The Hollywood Reporter calls it hilarious and audacious. This riotous play brims with laughter. It is quite simply astonishing, raves New York One. Through April 22nd only, visit roundabouttheater.org.
This is time 548. You might credit him for his planning, but not for the execution. Authorities say a burglar who broke into a self-storage facility in East Williamsburg the other day was clever enough to cover up the facility's surveillance camera, but not clever enough to realize it was being recorded while doing so. There's video of the suspect looking right into the lens on 1010wins.com. And if you recognize him, well, you should call the cops and ask that you call the Crime Stoppers hotline at 800-577-TIPS, 800-577-TIPS. Well, you know, there are a number of ways to tell if you've overstayed your welcome in a bar. One, for instance, might be having to call the FDNY to let you out the next morning.
It was a few hours after closing time, 7:30 in the morning, when a 911 call came from a bar called Marshall Stack on Rivington Street. A young man woke up there, all alone, and locked in. Cops and firefighters let him out. He was fine and is not in any trouble. The bar has a good reputation with neighbors like Angel.
They should always just make sure everything is secure before they leave. Double check the bathroom.
And Edgar, working at the barber shop next door, is glad it didn't turn out worse.
Vandalize the place could, cost them more money. It's a funny situation, but not a funny situation. Funny in the future, when you want to tell the story.
No comment from anyone working at the bar. Sonia Rincon, 1010 Wins on the Lower East Side.
United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley says President Trump has yet to make his decision on Syria, but she says if he does decide to act, it will be in defense of a principle on which everyone agrees. During a UN Security Council emergency meeting on Syria today, Haley said there are estimates in Washington showing that President Bashar Assad's forces in Syria have used chemical weapons at least 50 times over the last several years.
Let's be clear. Assad's most recent use of poison gas against the people of Douma was not his first, second, third, or even 49th use of chemical weapons.
Today's meeting was called following a request from Russia, whose foreign minister is suggesting that last week's chemical attack in Syria was fabricated as part of an anti-Russian campaign. A Piscataway doctor has been suspended for allegedly overprescribing opioids. The New Jersey State Attorney General's office says Dr. Eddie Gamio wrote more than 1,000 prescriptions over the last year or so, and well, nearly 80% of them were for morphine doses that were triple the federal limit. Wins News Time 551. And from the Ram Trucks Traffic Center, expanded traffic and transit now to your evening commute. With that, here's Greg Rice.
The LIRR, you've got system-wide delays mainly on the eastbound side of up to 20 to 30 minutes as they work on a signal problem to your wood side. You've got it far worse, though, on the Huntington-Port Washington branch because of another signal problem east of Huntington. So that's the LIRR story. The outbound Brooklyn Bridge, it's about to get better, but don't party just yet. You still have the left lane knocked out at the foot of the span in Manhattan because of a stalled taxi that is now, as I see it on the jam cam, being put onto the back of a tow truck. So the outbound Brooklyn Bridge, it'll be better soon. The rest of your bridges and tunnels, inbound George, not so great to the upper level, better to the inbound lower. There's no good route. Lincoln Tunnel about 30 to 45 in, 45 out. Earlier trouble on 495 westbound is gone, though. Holland 30 in, 45 minutes out. Looks like a wreck on the northbound Deegan near Van Cortlandt Park South. You are slow from Fordham Road southbound. Again, slammed out of Westchester down towards the Cross Bronx Expressway. In Westchester, northbound Hutchins, and so is the southbound side of the southbound New England Thruway is also bad off of the Cross Westchester. Right on down through Mamaroneck. Better after that, at least until you get to the Bronx. Westbound Belt, Knapp Street, getting into the area. Get a jam, call me now on the 1010 Wins traffic tip line, 844-JAM-1010. That's 844-526-1010. I'm Greg Rice on Extra Report at 6:01 on 1010 Wins.
Wins News Time 552. Time now for your 1010 Wins official 4-day forecast. Here's meteorologist Dave Bowers with this live report.
Well, it starts out beautiful, but gets kind of ugly here before the weekend's over, as we have to deal with a cold front drifting down from the north. But ahead of that front, we've got similar conditions here for a good part of the day tomorrow that we saw today. 80 degrees under a mostly sunny sky. And then as that front slips through, temperatures will drop rather sharply late in the day and tomorrow evening. Plunge down to low 40s tomorrow night with drizzle breaking out. And Sunday, it's some 30 degrees colder. We'll have maybe 35 degrees. We'll be in the 40s on Sunday with occasional rain, drizzle. And it turns into a pretty steady rain later Sunday night into Monday morning. Actually could be heavy at times, along with some thunder. And then diminished to just a shower Monday afternoon with a high of 60. 82 degrees and sunshine in Central Park. Going down to 62 in Midtown. I'm meteorologist Dave Bowers on New York's weather station, 10 and Winds.
Thank you, Dave. Winds news time, 5:53.
Your yard is full of stuff.
And stuff is just another name for junk.
That's right. You've got a yard full of junk.
Don't feel bad. Everyone's got a yard full of junk.
Rusty swing sets and barbecue grills and piles of leaves and limbs and grass and rocks and dead shrubs and plastic swimming pools and
call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And then just point to whatever you wish to disappear. Goodbye, junk.
Hello, relief.
We work until midnight, 7 days a week.
No need to take off work.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Are you taking Viagra for ED? Well, now you can take Sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, in generic 20 milligrams for $10 per tablet. That is a savings of $40 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic Sildenafil right to your door. For information on Sildenafil, go to marleygenerics.com or call us at 1-800-852-7354. That's 1-800-852-7354. 1-800-852-7354.
By now, we have 82 degrees in Midtown, going down to 62 tonight. The sky in New York is clear. Well, you might want to be careful about what kind of lettuce you have in your next salad. The CDC has identified at least 85 cases of E. coli linked to romaine lettuce over the last few weeks, including 7 in New Jersey and 2 each in New York and Connecticut. The romaine in question was grown in Yuma, Arizona. No common grower, supplier, distributor, or brand